highlight some of the projects that we're going to see and that we're talking about. So, Stormy, let's highlight you, sir. If you want to give a little background, same sort of question, but from a slightly different perspective. You're in Rockport, you're invested there, you've got a belief in it. Can you give us a little bit of your story, and then you've got some slides, I think, to show us about the project that you guys are working on.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So my name is Stormy Johnson. It's accurate on the screen there. And actually, I met John through just to kind of give you a little bit of background of how I met John, is through the Lago Vista Chamber of Commerce. I was the president for the North Lake Travis Chamber. He became a member. His business became a member. Tandem Investments set up shop in Jonestown. So that's how I initially met him. And then I got on what I call the drip system for his company. So I would get his emails, and nothing against you, John, but I deleted most of them, but I never unsubscribed, right? So fast forward, I had a insurance and financial background, 25 years as an agency owner. And I sold about 3/4 of my company back in December of 2021. And I reached out to John shortly after the first of the year because I have what they call a securities license, and I was looking for a different broker dealer. And I knew John was in that industry, and I wanted to discuss with him how that would look to possibly kind of a team up. And I was looking at a bunch of different options. And so just by sheer, I guess you'd say sheer luck, when I reached out to John and said, hey, this is what I'm looking to do, he promptly replied to my email. Again, I was on his drip system, and said, hey, oh, by the way, let's talk about what your situation is. It's not very different from the situation I had not too long ago. So that's how we got the discussion going about opportunity zones. And I had no idea what an opportunity zone was. So that was back in March of this year, March of 2022. So we started talking a little bit more about it. I started doing some research, a lot of research, looked at what the tax ramifications. I knew what the tax ramifications would be by the asset sale of the agency, and looking at ways to maybe, what I call soften the pain, right? Let me see if I can soften the pain a little bit. And I got to talking with John quite a bit about it, did a bunch of research across the country, because you can go online. This thing called Google can get in real handy. And started looking at different opportunity zones, some they were already in existence and going, and others that they're in what we call the early stages. Dug a little deeper into the tax ramifications, and I happened to reach out to my CPA as well, and he was familiar with the opportunity zones because he has a client that actually took advantage of one, was not able to use any capital gains money, but was thrilled. If you know anything about Austin, Texas, it's an up and coming city. It has been for a while, but there was an area of Austin that you didn't want to go into. Well, that was an opportunity zone, right? And so this gentleman, he became an investor in that area. It was an apartment complex. He was not able to take advantage of it, but was in love with the whole tax law, the whole, hey, let's put money where it's needed most, and has had fantastic results with the opportunity zone that he joined. And this is all through my CPA. So he was very familiar with it, filled with the program, the tax ramifications, and able to help out those communities. So fast forward, I'm not from Rockport, Chris. I'm actually in Central Texas, but I'm very familiar with Rockport. Our family went to Port Aransas about every year. That was our family vacation, which is not far from Rockport. But I always thought, if you really want to go catch fish, you go to Rockport, right? Because that's where the fish actually are. So anyway, we went to Port Aransas growing up. Very familiar with Rockport, had friends that had homes there since the 1970s, have been fishing there. Anytime I go fishing in Rockport, I catch fish. I mean, it's just one of those things. I always call it the sleepy fishing village. So after doing my research on opportunity zones across the country, and then I decided, the best way to see and feel and get to know somebody is to go see them in person. So in May of this year, I went to to meet up with John. He happens to live not even a quarter of a mile from where the first development stage is going to be. And so Adrian and my wife and I, we went out there, we toured the area. Rockport is up and coming. It's very early in the stages still, but it is up and coming. And so we did a tour of the area, met with John and his wife, and got a really good feeling, came back and did some more research and decided, hey, I want to get in as quick as possible. Because I like this thing called passive income, et cetera, et cetera. So fast forward, I felt very comfortable working with John where he was in the development stage of the whole of the quote unquote resort short-term rental. Felt very comfortable with that. Felt like he did a fantastic job. If you know anything about John, his background is dirt and now it's sand. So he does dirt and sand very well. So he got in at the right time, without a doubt. I think, like I said, I think it's very early stages of Rockport, and it's up and coming because Port Aransas is just right down the road, and it's become very expensive. A lot of areas in Texas become very, very expensive. So I feel like it's been an opportunity. I'm shocked it's in an opportunity zone, John. I even told you that. I thought, this Rockport's not poor by any stretch of the imagination, but apparently based on the census of track of 2020. So that's a long-winded answer to kind of where I got involved. But anyway, my point is I did a bunch of research, feel very comfortable with Rockport, feel extremely comfortable with John as the lead dog on the whole project, and absolutely passionate and thrilled to be part of it because I kind of twisted John's arm. I said, you know what, I know you're probably going to need to raise some capital because, in order to make this work, you got to do it, you got to do it. You got to have people in the right places. And I said, I'd love to be part of the team. And so today I'm speaking on behalf of, I guess, myself that, hey, I'm here to help people that are interested in the coastal opportunity zone. I'm really here to provide guidance and education information and assistance in any way I can. Okay. Now I happen to be an investor as well. So I kind of have what we call a vested interest in it as well. So yeah, this is something I'm passionate about. In general, we actually own a couple of condos, not in opportunity zones, but short-term rental. And one of the best things that happened is Airbnb, believe it or not, that made it really, really easy in this thing called COVID. Now people can work remotely for, weeks and months, not just a weekend, right? And so that's been really, really beneficial in the short-term rental.
And then if I could chime in here just real quickly to back up everything that you said, meeting in person is so important. You mentioned, you can do all the research that you want in the world, and ultimately you went down to see the dirt and sand that John has gotten you excited about, right? And the second part of it is, and I thank you for this, this is one of the reasons why I believe so much in this event, in this collective of people, is because you truly are standing from a position of support, been there, done that, want, kind of like blaze the trail. And I see that in everybody here that, folks are really doing that, and willing to say like, hey, why don't you come fast forward to where we are? Because we were where you are 6, 7, 8 months ago. Right. So it's good for everyone in that way. And I appreciate you for highlighting that. Can you highlight the project in just a couple minutes? I want to stay.
Yeah, I'll knock this out. So let me share screen here. Everybody see that?
We got you.
Okay, so I'm gonna first of all, here's the rendering of the first phase, which is on 2.67 acres, somewhere in that neighborhood, John. And this is the one that's very, very, very close to where you live. I think, John, you're somewhere over in here. So one question I had when I first saw the renderings and looked online is, is this going to be, are the neighbors going to put up with a complex of this size? And going back out, when I did go out there in May, it was a no-brainer. It was already been approved by the city, right, John? And then also the way that the whole area is shaping up, Art District is adjacent to it. Bars and restaurants are coming in. Rockport has been found. Okay, Rockport has been found. So I'm going to hit on a couple of highlights. Passive instructor benefits. It's 14+% targeted individual rate return of investment. If you know anything about anything about the deferred capital gains, here it is again. It can be 0 after 10 years. Upside potential, we're offering the funds offering a 40 split. So you've got not only have the passive 8%, but you have while it's being developed, and we'll talk about that in greater detail at some point, not today maybe, but there's the upside potential if there's money to be made on the business side, what we call the retail side, as well as the short-term rental, and that's shared with the investors. Okay. And to the right, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe, you know what, I need to minimize you guys. Sorry, Chris, I'm going to minimize you so I can see it. Passive and steady income, preferred return is 8% annualized. Again, refreshing on or reiterating the opportunity zones, how you can defer and or eliminate taxes depending on how the money goes in. Let's see here. Patrick had made notation to this that there is compliance measures, and that's part of Patrick's job, being involved with the coastal opportunity zone. And again, reduce or eliminate capital gains to investors. Here's the fund overview. Here's the meat and potatoes of what I cover. The maximum will be 25 million under the Reg D 506C. The Coastal Bend Opportunity and affiliates have invested in 125 units in multiple land purchases valued over 4 million. The TTRE long-term investment strategy is history of achieving exceptional high returns through acquisition of prime properties. And that's been John's background, in addition to being in the investment world of like primarily annuities and life insurance. The strategy is as follows. The investments will be 5 to 15 million, which excuse me, this first phase we're going to be raising $10 million. And John, correct me if I'm wrong, we're trying to get that done by the first part or the last part of November, correct? Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, that our goal is to raise 7 million by year end 2022.
Okay, year end. And then, so the first project, we're looking at about $15 million in total. Some of that will be financed, and a great portion of it will be based on the investment. Well, basically, if you know anything about OZ, it's not designed to be for the large investors, and it makes notation here. Properties typically stabilize within 12 to 18 months, focusing on transactions that size generates more profits with less risk. So our fund minimum is our fund investment is $50,000. Okay, that's our fund minimum. Okay, the first phase, fund asset type, short-term rentals, which is what we saw the rendering of. It'll be 50 plus short-term rental units. It'll be 3 or 4 retail, which will be e-cart, be the e-bike, and then the wine at 5 will be the initial retail side of things. And I believe I talked to John last week, and the e-bike may be coming out here before the complex is even, before it's built out. We'll be using some temporary staging area for that. Short-term rentals in the coastal bend are big. Rockport, like I said, is on the up and coming. And again, we can't stress enough that it's the #1 fishing destination in Texas. It is, I don't live there, so we're going to have someone speak to what the recent development looks like. In addition, the other phase will be the multifamily apartment units. That'll be, what is that, about 20 or so acres. And with that, there'll also be the climate controlled storage facility. And here's the some information as far as geographical. As you can see the arrow there, you'll see San Antonio is not too far away. Austin's not too far away. Corpus Christi's really, really close. Port Aransas, which is a very touristy town, is not very far away as well. And we'll have a lot of investors from Houston and Austin and San Antonio and even Dallas, just because that's kind of the family vacation on the Texas coast. Okay. And if you, here we go. One last thing. As you can see, here's the detailed outline. Project 1, the Blue Zone Resort, looking, I think, favorable to break ground last quarter of this year. And then the Redfish Landing, that will be the project where we have multi-use between the apartments as well as the storage facility. Okay. Last slide here, the Blue Zone Resort at Rockport, breaking ground 2.56 acres. It will also incorporate the environmental, social governance that some people are familiar with, and it's important to them. Projected 3 times the cash flow, and the exit strategy would be a 10-year hold, so 2026 through 2031. And I can go into greater detail for those that are interested in learning more. We have not updated all of this, but John is the general partner, and Nathaniel put together the program. Patrick has come on board. And again, I mentioned my background in both insurance and investments. And I used to be what they call a fix and flip guy, but I kind of like the idea of holding it a little bit longer. And so that's why my wife and I pivoted more into the to the arena of hold long term. So again, I'm really thrilled to be a part of it, not only as an investor. Okay, that's why I got involved anyway initially, but now to help provide the education and the resource to help people that are interested in something like the Coastal Bend Opportunities, and learn more and become educated and hopefully become investors. So that's all I got.
Storm.